Hey guys, it's Wade from 7 p.m. Prayer on the Move. It looks like it might rain, so I wanted to get this in because Ranger does not like rain. And so this hike may be called off instantaneously as soon as some rain starts showing up. But I wanted to go over day 9 in our prayer study, which is really talking and speaking to specifics in prayer. And one of the analogies that was used that I really liked, he kind of used the king and the prince or princess example, which is, I think, harder for us to identify with in this day and age. Remember, this book was written back in the 1800s, and he was in another country. He was in South Africa. But here we could certainly relate to, let's pretend that our father was the CEO and we were hired on as president to oversee the company. So when we came to our father with prayers, some of them are going to be directed to him just as our father. You know, we have a relationship with him as a parent, and we're going to be talking to him as his child relative to a need that we have or someone we know or whatever, something that we're certain that he's capable of handling and helping with. But some of our needs are going to be specific to our duties relative to running the company. So remember again, if we've dedicated our life to God and we're serving Christ and we're out making choices and doing things as a member of his family and a part of his plan for the world, then we're part of God's organization, and we have a role and we have responsibilities with that. So if we came to our CEO parent with our needs, you know, they need to be specific, they need to be relevant to what is actually needed in the company in this example, and there needs to be an expectation that our Father is capable of answering these prayers and will answer these prayers. So you wouldn't, again, as the president of the company, come to the CEO with needs and such and just be kind of, and the expectation to be kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. You know, if you've got real needs and real expectations with real timelines, something needs to happen. And if God is the most conscientious and responsible leader, he's not just going to leave stuff hanging to where everybody that's working for him is kind of left up in the air wondering, like, what's going to happen? So again, I think that one of the biggest problems I've had, and probably you fall into this category too at times, is that you just kind of get caught up into, what does the world mean to Wade? What's important to Wade? What do I want to have happen just because I want to have it happen? Not because I'm doing anything in the service of the Lord, and just because I'm kind of being selfish. So there's almost an obligation on God's part, if that's how your prayers are going to be focused, not to answer them. It would be kind of like, again, sticking with our CEO president example, if I come in and all my requests to the CEO have nothing to do with my responsibilities and things that I need to do in order to manage what I'm doing for the company, then he's left with kind of folding his arms and being like, okay, what are we doing here? So focus your prayers on needs, again, as a parent, as you being the child, on things that are important to you, but they're also in agreement with the system that God has in place. And if you find that most of your prayers have to do with you, remember, love God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. That's a trigger to you that you're not thinking of things the right way, because you should be praying for others. And again, we've talked a little bit about this, but realize that when you're praying for a friend or a family member, there is a high probability that you are the only person praying for that person. Some people in life have several people praying for them, several family members and whatnot, but that's very few. Most of us really don't have hardly anybody praying for us. So when you got a friend that you're loving as your neighbor, as you love yourself, then and you pray for them, you may be the only person in the whole world launching prayers for them. So take it serious. You can help them and help them live in accordance with God's will if that's part of what you're praying for too. But then when you flip it to where you're praying to God, the CEO, where you're asking him for help in doing your job and you're meeting your responsibilities, be specific and pray for things that when you get answers, it's going to be obvious that you got an answer. And see, this is where it becomes important, because if you're going to have a discussion with someone about prayer and about how prayer works and about how they ought to be praying, well, if all we're doing is praying for a bunch of willy-nilly stuff that we don't even really kind of know if the prayer even got answered, then we don't function as a witness for God to the effect that prayer works. We're just kind of being flaky Christian. So remember, as Christians, we should be the most steadfast, the most honorable, the most reliable people on the planet. Would we be anything else? So make your prayer specific such that you can see the result and it can be a testimony to how God answers prayer. Okay, you guys, 7 p.m. prayer tonight. Remember, as you're praying with other Christians, and we're praying to start a movement to make a difference in this world with unified Christians from all aspects of Christianity. We're one family. We don't care what building we go to or don't go to on Sunday. We're here as a member of the family of God, and you're in my family. So I appreciate you.